Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. In this video we're going to be talking about traumas, emotions, and light circuitry. So, with the light circuitry attunements that I've been doing, I've really just been amazed at the incredible effectiveness that these particular sessions have. And it's really been helping me to discover more about how we have all of these particular types of imbalances within ourselves. Basically how I came up with light circuitry was through all of Adronis's teachings, going back into the times to where light circuitry was first introduced to me as a means of communication, as a means of personal healing. But in this way, through the light circuitry attunements, it's a balancer. But we're going to look more so into what light circuitry attunements actually do, and what is the root that allows light circuitry attunements to become very effective with all of us. Now, light circuitry attunements, I would basically compare their effectiveness to something like hypnotherapy. The person is able to go into a very deep state trance, like the somnambulistic level of trance, and they're able to work with their higher self, they're able to go into their inner guidance, and they wake up out of the trance and noticing that there have actually been changes happening to themselves on a mental, emotional, and physical level, as well as spiritual level as well too. So really, the light circuitry attunements also have this particular effect. So they also bring about instantaneous healing, or just instant healing, as I'll call it here. So the only other healing technique that really can deliver something like that would be something like hypnosis. Sometimes you may be able to find it like in theta healing, or in certain ways as well too, but more so commonly within deep trance state hypnosis. With light circuitry attunements, you don't need to go into trance. So there's no trance states. You're not going under in any particular way. Basically what we're looking for in a light circuitry attunement is we're looking for trauma. Okay, not emotion. And here's the reason. Trauma is the factor that actually is the entire source of our imbalance itself. When we basically look into trauma, we're looking into what's known as ARA. Okay? And these are the three archetypes of trauma. They represent abandonment, rejection, and abuse. Those are the three types of trauma. Everything that relates to emotions are branches that come through these three archetypes of trauma. So whether it's the feeling of anger, whether it's the feeling of frustration, whether it's the feeling of despair, whether it's apathy, whether it's severe depression, whatever it may be, they can all link back to these areas of trauma. So trauma is like the seed. It's the seed in the garden, and the roots that are sprouting out from that seed would represent the emotions. And this here representing the trauma. So this is my goal as a facilitator of light circuitry attunements, to go inside and look at a person's emotional states and finding out how they trace back into one or two or all three of the elements relating to trauma. So trauma, if we have Mr. Stickman here, once again, and looking at Mr. Stickman's bean-like chest here, just seeing this slash across the chest would represent the energy of trauma itself. Now basically, what we do is that when we're traumatized, whether it be as a young kid or a young teenager, even in sometimes adult years as well too, is we use emotions to cover up that trauma. to bury it under all of these spheres, under all of these cushions of emotions. And over time, to where we neglect the trauma over and over and over again, more of these emotional states keep piling up. And as we're utilizing emotions as these band-aids for traumas, then basically we start attracting people, places, events, and things within our life that reflect all of these emotions that are covering up that particular trauma. And so we are traumatized at a young age, and now we're feeling great fear, now we're feeling great anxiety, now we're feeling great anger, great frustration, great sadness, great despair. I don't want to talk about that. Don't talk to me about that. I don't want to go there. I'm not looking back into that memory. Stop talking about it. We get triggered in that particular way. So the more that we get triggered, it's basically focus bouncing off these emotional states, right? So the thought forms that basically come through ourselves or through other people, other places, other events, or other things, just shine this light upon the emotions. Oh, don't you dare do that. Don't you dare shine that light on me. And don't bring up that certain thing. I don't want to remember it. It's too traumatic to remember, right? So we bury it under these cushion pads, under these spheres of emotion. And our goal is being able to navigate past these spheres of emotion and come directly into the state of trauma. But this is where the cooperation of the client needs to come in. We need to make sure that they are open to receiving a light circuitry attunement, that they are open to looking past their emotional states and going directly into their trauma, of saying that I was abused, I was rejected, I was abandoned, right? One or two or all three of those trauma components. And once we get to the heart of the matter, what we've done is we've bypassed all of those particular emotions and we've come into the heart of the trauma. So basically, to bypass those emotions, we need to, like I've talked about in previous videos, bring our love vibration up into a high level, right? So if this is an angry emotion right here, here's love, and we're just catapulting our energies to that love vibration so that we can look at that aspect of anger, of that emotion, and being able to soften it with our love, bringing it compassion. This again all goes back into equivalent exchange. It goes to reciprocity. I pronounced it right this time, right? So basically, if we're putting so much energy of love and anger is down here, then anger really has no choice but to transmute itself together with love, because that's the strongest area of our focus. We're bringing all of that love energy up here, and that small amount of hatred, anger, is down here. And if we're putting all of that love and saturating all of that anger, it transmutes, which means all the focus of our love is now becoming our absolute attention. And so we harmonize that anger. So we bypass these spheres, these cushions of emotion, and now we're able to get into the trauma. So now the trauma itself is being exposed. And now we realize, yes, I feel like a victim. I feel abused. And so now I'm able to bring peace, bring harmony, and bring love to that trauma. So after that happens, then we basically develop the golden ball effect. Or we could basically say a purification effect. We have purified the energies of the emotions that have been intertwined together with the trauma, burying it in that way. The roots coming up from the garden. So once we have purified that energy, we now have all of this extra energy within ourselves. And so what Light Circuitry Attunement does is teach you how to take all of that reserve energy that's been fueling these traumas and these emotions for a very long time, and now being able to place it into your body so that you're actually getting a vitality increase. You're now getting an increase of health within your body, and that this can be on a physical, emotional, mental level as well. So that's what we do. We take this ball and we place it into an organ, we place it into some area within the body that requires some energy, and now we're actually feeling this incredible rejuvenation effect taking place within the body. And now that we're feeling really, really good about ourselves, we're feeling purified, we can now start to refine our daily routine and make it reflect that great feeling, that wonderful state of being that we're feeling right now. So all of this is instructed through the light circuitry attunements. But this is what pretty much everybody is going through. I've yet to meet a person on the planet who has not been traumatized, who has not had severe emotional states, emotional imbalances throughout their timelines, whether it be through early childhood years, teenage years, adult years. Everybody I've talked to has this, right? So you're not alone. You know, it's not thinking I'm the only traumatized person on this planet. No, not even close. And I would just say on an optimistic level, I'd say probably about 90 to 95% of the people on this planet have been traumatized in some particular way, right? So that's not uncommon. So again, I'm optimistically looking at it in a 5 to 10% way. Maybe some people haven't, but I would love to meet those people who have not been traumatized. It'd be really a great experience. But through the 9+ years that I've been doing this work and talking to everybody, thousands of people have had some really intense traumas, be it with other people, be it with extraterrestrial connections, be it with extra-dimensional connections, be it with their own dimensional connections as well, looking into the amalgamation effect, abductions that have happened, the list goes on and on and on. Whatever the trauma is, it all just links back into this array, right? Into ARA, abandonment, rejection, abuse, right? So this is what light circuitry attunements does. And usually it just takes, on average, about half an hour to 40 minutes to perform the light circuitry attunement. Everybody that I've basically talked to, I'd say it's about a 98% success rate. The other 2% would basically be people who felt they had let go of certain aspects of emotion, but realized they couldn't. They were still holding on to it as identity. And when that happens, there's really not much we can do. We have to just allow them to be within that particular state, attempting to reach negotiation, to say, okay, now I'm open to do this, and then they can come back and they can try it again. Basically, this is the whole point of light circuitry attunements, is you feel this instantaneous healing effect. So what this is doing is this is not taking debris out of the body, and you're still basically left with the trauma, but hey, a lot of the surface-based stuff is gone. We don't do that. When we're working with light circuitry attunements, we go right to the source. We go right to here, right? Just like they would in hypnotherapy. And going right into the root of what the issue is, and being able to bring it into harmony, into liberation, into salvation. So, traumas themselves are the open, gashed wound that then utilize emotions to barrier itself, to cushion itself, to prevent itself from being exposed. And again, that's all part and parcel of the type of system that we're living in. And feeling that if you have this really huge trauma, oh, poor you, pity, 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 or stop thinking about it, stop worrying about it, let it go, think of something else, right? And that basically is like our psychiatric evaluation. Or here, take a lot of drugs, or just stop thinking about that because you're blaming this person for it, and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it turns into an enormous hamster wheel race, right? And it doesn't have to be that complicated. You don't need prescription drugs. You don't need to drug yourself like crazy because you have trauma. All you have to do is work with inner negotiation. And this is what light circuitry attunements specializes in. This is what hypnotherapy, depending upon the hypnotherapist, specializes in when you're going into those deep states and helping you to reconnect with memories or, again, instances that have taken place where you can now heal that trauma. And after that session, you're feeling right as rain. You feel an instant healing effect. And you also feel it through light circuitry attunements as well, too. So if you haven't tried light circuitry attunements, I highly recommend them, not just because I'm the creator of them, but I've done them myself. I've worked on them myself. A lot of my own personal healing has had incredible success because of this. And I've even developed some past healing systems as well, too. And they were good, but they were nowhere near as effective as the light circuitry attunements. They have really just blown my mind, and then seeing how other people are feeling these instantaneous healing effects and feeling the transformations coming through them, blown me away as well too. So this is just more amazing than what I really thought I was putting together here. Just something that's really gone beyond expectations, and a lot of it is thanks to Adronis and my own consciousness source to help me put these puzzle pieces together and create something like this. So again, check it out. Go to realitywhisperer.com, go to the Sessions tab. Underneath you'll find the Light Circuitry Attunement session, and you can give it a try. All right? So I also wanted to go over this because it's good to know about the relationships between emotions and traumas. And now you know. Emotions are the cushions. Traumas are utilizing those cushions to shelter themselves, to preventing themselves from being exposed. But we have the ability to reverse all of that and harmonize the traumas. So thank you so much for watching. And again, feel free to check out realitywhisperer.com, and I will talk to you again in another perspective of the now. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.